John.
Is that John Morton?
Yeah, it is, yeah. John Morton, yeah.
Just come sit with me, mate, please.
You get it out my face, please.
Get it out your face, why? What are you going to do?
We're currently in the process of speaking to an individual.
In the process, you think you find you were sitting in the vehicle, weren't you, mate? So now you're talking.
Yeah, I was sitting in the vehicle, yeah.
Nonsense. You want to put my address online? Hey, is there no...
Don't know your address. Don't know your address.
Silly game now. Because now you're facing enemy.
I don't know your address, mate, so... I know your name's John.
Hey, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Because you know what you've just done? You've just done a breach of data protection, mate. Yes, you have.
Under the UK's General Data Protection Regulation and the Data Protection Act 2018, personal information, such as a person's full name, must be treated with the highest level of care. This duty becomes even more serious when that name is tied to past dealings with the police, because the risk of harm or misuse grows significantly. Every officer is classed as a data controller, which means the law places direct responsibility on them to safeguard this information. When handling such details, officers are expected to prevent any unnecessary or unlawful sharing, especially with people who have no legal right to know it. That duty isn't optional, it's a core part of protecting public trust. So, if an officer were to raise their voice and reveal the auditor's full name within earshot of a passerby who had no lawful reason to hear it, that act could cross into the territory of a data breach. Now, even if the disclosure wasn't deliberate or malicious, the rules don't simply excuse it. Data protection law is clear. Intention does not erase the impact. What matters is whether the individual's privacy was compromised without proper justification. This is why oversight bodies take such cases seriously, as lapses, whether accidental or not, can still erode confidence in how information is handled. Police officers receive training on the careful handling of sensitive information, and part of that responsibility is knowing when to speak and when to stay discreet. A public space is never the right stage for broadcasting personal data. Exercising caution and judgment in these moments isn't just good practice. It's a legal expectation, designed to shield both individuals and the wider community from avoidable risks.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, guys, this little idiot has just done a nice breach of data protection. Just told my name to an absolute stranger. No, excuse me. Right.
John, can you...
Listen, do not put your hands on me. Why, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Listen, you just put your hands on me. What are you...
What are you doing, John? Calm yourself down. No, don't
get your hands off me. Listen, you come out and approach me, alright? Your colleague has just shoved me.
Calm yourself down.
Calm yourself down. No, right.
Calm down.
Listen, I am not irate. It's called freedom of speech, and I will tell you, alright? Your colleague has just put hands on... Your colleague has just put hands on me. That's classed as unwanted contact. It's battery and assault. You got out thinking you were big... Excuse me. You're restricting my move.
Even if the auditor's stance seemed confrontational or he appeared to be partially blocking the doorway, that alone does not automatically grant an officer the right to use force. In policing, the expectation is always to de-escalate first, to communicate clearly, and to apply the absolute minimum level of force required. That principle becomes even more important in tense or emotionally charged moments where a calm word can prevent a heated lash. Rather than addressing the auditor's concern about data protection directly, the officer instead chose to respond with physical action, pushing him aside and attempting to move away. This sudden shift from dialogue to force did not calm matters. Instead, it inflamed them, turning a manageable discussion into an unnecessary confrontation. The decision to push rather than engage raised more questions about judgment and restraint than it did about safety. Under Section 39 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988, battery occurs when unlawful force is used against another person. That means the issue here isn't whether the shove was aggressive or dramatic, but whether it was legally justified. If the officer cannot demonstrate that the push was both necessary and proportionate to a real obstruction, then the act risks falling into the category of a technical battery under the law. The auditor himself was not violent, nor did he pose an immediate threat. His aim was to hold the officer accountable for his conduct, not to start a physical altercation. The officer's shove, therefore, looked less like a lawful intervention and more like a flash of irritation, a reaction born out of frustration rather than measured policing. For the public, that distinction matters greatly, because it speaks to the difference between professional control and personal impulse in the exercise of authority.
That is what you call as assault. It's battery and unwanted contact. You just touched me. So what if I touch you? No, yeah, look, you're touching me now. Please move away. But I will use reasonable force to detain you. I will use reasonable force to detain you. Go on, what? Do you want to touch me?
Yeah, can I get more patrols, please?
Go on,
to the Gulf petrol station on Victoria Road.
Come on. Come on.
Calm yourself down.
Calm yourself down. Look.
Don't put your hands on me, John.
Listen, you put your hands on me. Right, section 33.
In my space.
Listen, you put your hands on me. It's classed as, look, unwanted contact. Please don't touch me. Okay? Thank you very much.
It's the Gulf petrol station at Victoria Road.
Come on. And I'll take these as well. I'll take these as well.
You're John Morton?
Station. Very high.
John, just calm down. I don't know why
no, because your colleague has just breached data protection. You're here on a job, and your colleague has just given my full name to a random member of the public.
Because we know who you are.
It doesn't matter if you know who I am.
When the auditor refuses to calm down, it isn't an act of defiance for the sake of it. He explains a very real reason. His full name had been spoken aloud in front of a member of the public, potentially breaching strict data protection laws. That's not someone being disruptive without cause. That's an individual standing firmly for his right to privacy and for proper accountability from those in power. In a setting where trust in authority matters, ignoring such a concern only fuels tension further. Instead of engaging seriously with that point, the officer brushes it off with a casual remark, "We know who you are." But recognition doesn't equal justification. Knowing someone's identity doesn't give officers the legal or moral right to announce it in front of people who have no role in the situation. Doing so in a public space risks exposing personal data to ears that should never have heard it in the first place. This type of dismissive response reveals more than just poor judgment, it signals a lack of respect for legal obligations around information handling. Under the UK GDPR and the Data Protection Act 2018, officers carry a clear duty to protect sensitive data, not to trivialize it. When that responsibility is shrugged off, the breach becomes even more blatant, undermining the very standards the law is designed to uphold at its core. This exchange highlights a troubling divide. The auditor is fighting to assert rights that the law already guarantees, while the officer is treating those rights as inconveniences. That imbalance doesn't just weaken public trust, it questions whether the rules meant to protect personal information are being treated with the seriousness they deserve by those who enforce them.
A chat with you, that's why.
No, it wasn't a chat. Listen, I followed every single one of you on for 6 months, and I'll tell that to the camera. I've got all your addresses. I know where you run to the safe house on fucking Anchor Road. I couldn't give two
camera that you're trying to get into the vehicle.
It wasn't, no, I wasn't trying to get into the vehicle. I'll come over to your colleague. I'll come over to your colleague. Look, if you want to go to war, I'll have a straight with everyone.
You stopped me colleague from closing the door, and then you put your hand on me, haven't you?
No, because you put your hands on me, which is classed as unwanted contact.
Right.
The auditor began on solid ground by raising a legitimate concern about data protection, a topic that clearly warranted discussion. But his next remark, claiming he had followed the officers for 6 months and collected their home addresses, crossed a line that cannot be ignored. A statement like that isn't just provocative, it carries the weight of intimidation, whether or not that was his intention. What could have been seen as principled oversight suddenly risked being viewed as personal harassment. Once words shift into that territory, the strength of the audit's purpose begins to unravel. Instead of highlighting issues of accountability, the focus turns to the auditor's behavior itself, which can be interpreted as threatening. That shift undermines the credibility of his argument and hands the officers an opening to question his motives. Even if spoken in frustration, such language clouds the legitimacy of the audit and distracts from the real issues at stake. From a legal perspective, this type of comment could easily trigger concern under Section 4 or Section 5 of the Public Order Act, depending on how it was heard and understood. The law recognizes not only what is said, but how it is likely to be perceived by others present. If officers reasonably believe that mentioning their addresses amounts to intimidation, they may interpret it as a potential threat, giving them a stronger legal basis for intervention. It's worth remembering that while officers are public servants, they are also entitled to a reasonable expectation of safety, both on and off duty. Referencing their private addresses, particularly in a heated or confrontational setting, can escalate matters far more quickly than intended. What could have remained a debate about lawful conduct instead risked spiraling into personal targeting. In that moment, the auditor weakened his own position, shifting the spotlight away from the officer's obligations and onto his own questionable words.
Identify yourself, please, mucker. You need to, because no police. I don't need to. No, 4736. You don't need to.
4736.
Name?
4736.
Based?
4736.
No, based.
You're not being stopped, sir.
Right. Then, it's as simple as that. What? Go on, what?
Do you want to get lots of Section 5 public?
Section 5? Where's the MG11 witness statements? MG11 witness statement? There's no aggrieved member of the public. I'm a different member of the public, alright, mate? You won't use your bully tactics on me. Lock me up. Do what you want. I guarantee you'll have a letter. Where's the MG11 witness statement, aggrieved member of the public? Alright? I'm not boo-boo the fool, mate. I will.